I've been a long-haul truck driver for most of my adult life. I've driven across almost every major highway in the country, through blizzards, storms, and the kind of fog that swallows your headlights whole. But there's one night I still can't forget. The night I saw a lady on Keating Highway. It was early November, cold, the kind of night where the sky hangs low and heavy and the road feels like it goes on forever. I was hauling freight up through Oregon, heading north toward Yakima. The highway was empty, except for me, the hum of my engine, and the steady slap of tires on wet asphalt. Around midnight, I saw something strange through the drizzle, a faint white shape by the side of the road. At first, I thought it was a deer, or maybe fog catching in my lights. But as I got closer, it became clear. It was a woman. She was standing on the shoulder, wearing a long white dress that looked almost glowing in the dark. Her hair was soaked, hanging down over her face. She wasn't moving, just standing there. I slowed down, I don't know why. Maybe instinct, maybe guilt. You don't see someone like that out there unless something's very wrong. I rolled down the window a bit. "Ma'am, you okay?" I called out. No response. She didn't even look up. I pulled over, engine rumbling low, hazard lights blinking against the fog. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out into the cold. The air smelled like wet dirt and pine. When my boots hit the shoulder, she was gone. No sound, no movement, just the sound of rain hitting the road. I swept the flashlight across the ditch, thinking maybe she'd slipped or collapsed. Nothing, just grass and mud. It was as if she'd never been there. I stood there for a minute, heart beating fast, my breath visible in the cold air. Finally, I shook it off. I told myself I was just tired. I'd been driving for almost 10 hours straight. Maybe I'd imagined it. So I climbed back into the cab, shut the door, and kept driving. But a few miles down the road, I looked into my side mirror, and I swear, I saw her again, sitting in the passenger seat, just for a second. Her pale face turned toward me, her wet hair clinging to her cheeks, and then she was gone. I slammed the brakes so hard my cargo rattled. The cab filled with the smell of burning rubber. I reached over, shaking, yanked open the passenger door. Nothing. Empty seat. I sat there for what felt like forever, engine idling, heart hammering. Then I noticed something. The seat was wet. Not like condensation or spilled water. It was dripping, cold, damp, like someone had just climbed in from the rain. I drove the rest of that night with the cab light on. Didn't stop again until morning. When I finally pulled into a diner near Yakima, I could barely hold my coffee steady. I told the waitress about it, just to get it out, I guess. Her face went pale. "You said Keating Highway?" she asked. I nodded. She leaned in and said quietly, "You're not the first to see her." Apparently, people have been seeing that same woman for years. A woman in white, standing by the road, or appearing in the back seat of cars. Some say she was a hitchhiker killed in the 1950s. Others say she was a bride on her way to her wedding when her car went off the road in the rain. No one's sure. I didn't believe in ghosts before that night. But here's the thing that still keeps me up sometimes. A few days later, when I got home, I checked the inside of my truck. The passenger seat was still damp, and in the corner of the windshield where the fog had dried, I saw the faint outline of a handprint. Small, feminine, pressed against the glass from the inside. I haven't taken that route again since. But sometimes, when I'm on a long stretch of highway at night, and the rain starts to fall, I still check the mirrors. And sometimes, I swear I catch a glimpse of her, just standing there by the road, waiting.
People say old houses are haunted. Some say forests or empty buildings are dangerous at night. But for me, nothing is scarier than a long, empty road. And the worst road of all is US Route 50 in Nevada. People call it the loneliest road in America. And they are right, it really is lonely. So lonely, it feels wrong. Imagine driving for 1 full hour and not seeing a single car. No houses, no lights, only mountains, dry desert, and a long, straight road that never ends. That was actually where everything happened. I was driving a truck from Ely to Fallon. It was past midnight. The sky was clear and the desert air was cold. My headlights were the only light anywhere. The road in front of me looked like a silver line in the darkness. I've driven this route many times, but something felt different that night. The silence was too heavy. The darkness, too thick. Even the air felt still, like the whole desert was waiting. Sometimes long roads play tricks on your mind. You hear sounds that aren't there. You think you see shapes in the dark. You start checking your mirrors too much. Left mirror, nothing. Right mirror, nothing. Rear view, nothing. Just me and the desert. The air felt colder now. My hands were tight on the steering wheel. I tried to relax. I turned on the radio for company. Only static, no music, no talking, just shh, like the road itself was breathing. I kept driving. After a few minutes, something shiny flickered in the rearview mirror. A shape, a person, standing on the side of the road. I hit the brakes hard. My chest tightened. I stared into the mirror, trying to see clearly. But the person was gone, just the empty road. I told myself I was tired. Maybe the moonlight hit a rock or a sign. Maybe it was nothing. I kept going slower this time. The radio still hissed with static, but now something else mixed with it. A soft sound, like whispering. I turned the volume down. The whispering also went down. That meant the sound wasn't from the radio. It was inside the truck, right behind me. I looked in the rearview mirror again, and that's when I saw him. A man, standing behind the truck, too close, too still. He wore a bright reflective vest, the kind road workers use. It shined like silver in the headlights. But his face was wrong. It was too bright, too smooth, no eyes, no mouth, just a blank, glowing face. I turned around fast to look at the back seat. No one, nothing. But when I looked back at the mirror, he was closer, almost touching the truck. My whole body went cold. My fingers shook. I pressed the gas pedal hard and sped up. The truck roared, but still, the road felt too quiet. I forced myself not to look at the mirror. Something told me that if I kept looking, he would appear right next to me. But after a while, I made a mistake. I looked again. He was there, even closer, inside the mirror now, as if the glass belonged to him. His blank face filled half the mirror. The whispering returned, louder, sharper, like metal scratching against glass. The dashboard lights flickered. The headlights dimmed. The radio snapped off. Beep. For one whole second, the truck went completely dark, slow. And when the light came back, beep, his face was right there, pressed against the inside of the mirror, like he was trying to come out. I hit the high beams. I pushed the gas pedal to the floor. The truck shook from the speed. I didn't look at the mirror again, not once. I kept my eyes on the road until I finally saw the first lights of Fallon. When I reached a gas station, I parked and sat there, shaking. I waited until the sun came up before I opened the door. In daylight, the mirrors looked normal, just mirrors. But I know what I saw. Some truck drivers once told me they have seen a man on Route 50 at night. Some others told me they hear whispering in their trucks when the radio is off. One driver said he hit a man, but found no body. Only a reflective vest lying on the road, like someone left it there on purpose. I believe them now, because whatever I saw that night, it wasn't human, and it wasn't standing on the road. It was living in the mirrors. I always tell people, if you ever find yourself driving through Highway 285 in New Mexico, especially at night, don't stop unless you really need to. I learned that the hard way. I was on my way from Santa Fe to Roswell, a long open drive with almost nothing on both sides of the road. If you know 285, you know the feeling. The road goes straight for miles and miles. No big towns, no houses, just flat land, sand, and sky. During the day, it feels empty. At night, it feels like another world. That evening, I left Santa Fe later than I planned. The sun was already going down, and the sky had that deep orange color that fades fast. I told myself I'd be fine. I'd driven this highway many times, but that night felt different. I don't know how to explain it. Even before anything strange happened, I felt like something was watching me from the dark outside the car. After about 2 hours of driving, my stomach started to hurt. Not just a little pain, the kind that makes you bend forward a bit. I knew I had to find a restroom. The GPS showed a small gas station ahead, last stop fuel and diner. I had never seen it before, which was strange because I usually stop at the same places. Still, I needed a restroom. The building came into view after a few minutes. It looked old, real old. Only one pump was working and the lights were flickering. I parked my car and stepped out. The air was cold, even though New Mexico nights usually stay warm, and the place smelled dusty, like no one had cleaned anything in years. Inside there was a man behind the counter, thin, tall, with a face that looked like he didn't sleep much. He didn't smile, didn't say hello, didn't even blink. I said, sir, can I use your restroom? He slowly pointed to a hallway. That was it. No words. The restroom was at the end of the hall. It was small, dim, and the mirror above the sink was cracked. But it was clean enough, so I went in. While washing my hands, I heard something. Footsteps. Very soft, very slow. They stopped right outside the door. I said, hello? Someone there? No answer. When I opened the door, no one was in the hallway. But now, the lights, which had been normal before, were flickering, almost like they were struggling to stay on. I walked back to the front of the store, and the man behind the counter was gone. Just gone. He was there 1 minute and gone the next. I called out, hello, I want to buy a drink. No response. I should have left right there. But my stomach was still twisting and I needed something gentle to drink. So I grabbed a ginger ale and walked back to the counter. Then I heard it. Someone breathing behind me. Soft, slow, right by my ear. I turned around fast. No one was there, but the air felt thick, heavy, like someone had just walked past me. I put the drink down and said out loud, all right, I'm leaving. I walked quickly to the door, but when I opened it, my car wasn't where I left it. It was moved, not far, but turned sideways, as if someone had pushed it by hand. I felt my heart jump in my chest. I grabbed my keys tight and hurried to the car. The desert wind had picked up and the sand was blowing across the parking lot. The moment I put my hand on the door handle, I heard something behind me. A laugh. A man's laugh. Soft, like someone trying not to be heard. I turned around, ready to yell. And there he was, the cashier, standing at the glass door of the station. Except his face was wrong, like he was trying to smile but didn't know how. His eyes were completely black. He lifted his hand and waved at me, slowly. I didn't say anything. I didn't think. I just jumped into the car and locked the doors. When I started the engine, the lights in the gas station shut off. All at once. Total darkness. Then the laughing started again, from outside. But also, somehow, inside the car. I hit the gas pedal and drove off fast, faster than I should have on that road. The entire time I felt like someone was sitting in the back seat watching me. I didn't look. I didn't breathe. I just kept driving. After about 20 minutes, I saw lights ahead. A real Love's travel stop, bright and full of cars, people walking around, normal life. I pulled in and parked right under a street lamp. And finally, I looked in the back seat. No one was there. I stayed inside the car for almost 10 minutes before I even opened the door. When I finally went inside the travel stop, I told one of the workers, "Hey, is there an old gas station down the road? One with a diner? Flickering lights?" He looked at me like I was crazy. "There's no station like that anywhere on 285, he said. "Not for at least 60 miles. The last one burned down back in the 90s. I knew he was telling the truth, but when I looked at the glass door of the travel stop, I saw something standing behind me. Tall, thin, black eyes, smiling the wrong way. When I turned around, nobody was there. I don't drive that road at night anymore. I don't stop at strange gas stations. And every time I wash my hands, I feel like I still hear those footsteps behind me. For some places, you only survive once."
I've been a night driver for many years. Most nights feel the same, long, quiet, and tiring. But there is one night I will never forget. And it started with something very simple. I had to pee. It was close to 1 a.m. I was driving through New Mexico on my way to Tucson. The road was empty, and the desert around me was dark and wide. My coffee had finally kicked in, and my stomach felt tight. I saw a small gas station up ahead, one lone building with a bright flickering sign. Leroy's Quick Stop. It looked old, the kind of place nobody visits unless they really need to. But I needed to. I parked my truck, stepped out, and walked to the restroom door on the side of the building. The whole place smelled like dust and old gasoline. There were insects bumping into the overhead light. The restroom door creaked when I opened it. Inside, the light was buzzing, and the room smelled like bleach and mold mixed together. But I didn't care. I just wanted to finish and get back on the road. When I washed my hands, I noticed something. There were wet footprints on the floor behind me. Bare feet, small. But I hadn't heard anyone come in. I stepped out of the restroom, looked around. No one was there, no car, no truck, just the empty gas station and the desert wind. I shook it off. I told myself it was from a worker earlier in the day, but the footprints were fresh, still wet. I got back in my truck and continued driving. About 30 minutes later, my stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since afternoon. Then, out of nowhere, I saw something strange. A diner. A single, tiny diner glowing in the middle of the highway, sitting alone like it didn't belong there. The sign said, Midnight Star Diner. I had never seen it before, and I had passed this road many times. But the lights were on, and I was hungry. So I pulled in. The parking lot was empty. No cars, no bikes, no trucks. The inside of the diner was bright, clean, and completely silent. There was no music, no chatter, just the low hum of the ceiling lights. A woman sat in one of the booths near the window. She wore a long, pale blue dress and had long black hair that covered most of her face. She was staring at the table, not moving. I sat at the counter. After a moment, a man walked out from the kitchen. Tall, thin, with tired eyes. He didn't smile. He didn't greet me. He just said, "Coffee?" I nodded. He poured me a cup without saying anything else. When he walked back into the kitchen, I heard the bell above the door ring. But I didn't see anyone come in. The woman in the booth hadn't moved an inch. I looked at her again. Then I realized something. Her dress was wet. The fabric clung to her arms. A slow drip of water was falling from her sleeves onto the seat, just like the wet footprints in the gas station. I looked down at the diner floor. There were wet footprints leading from the door straight to her booth. Bare feet, small, fresh. My mouth went dry. I turned back to my coffee, pretending I didn't see anything. The man came out again. "You want anything to eat?" he asked. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Who's the woman in the booth?" He stopped. His face changed, just a little, like he didn't want to answer. "What woman?" he said. My heart dropped. "That one," I whispered, pointing. The booth was empty. The woman was gone. Only water on the seat remained, a puddle still spreading. The man stared at it, his jaw tight. He whispered, not to me but to himself, "Not again." That was enough for me. I stood up. I left a $10 bill on the counter. I didn't wait for change. I didn't want food anymore. I walked quickly out the door. But as I reached for my truck door handle, I saw something in the corner of my eye. Someone standing on the other side of the parking lot. At first, I thought it was a shadow, a trick of the lights. But then it moved, slowly. A woman in a long, pale blue dress. The same woman from the booth. Her hair was hanging over her face, dripping water onto the ground, one drop at a time. I froze. She wasn't walking toward me. She wasn't running. She was just standing there, facing me, bare feet on the cold pavement. My hand shook as I unlocked my truck. I got in, locked the doors fast, and started the engine. I looked up. She was closer. Not walking, just closer, like she had jumped forward without moving her legs. My whole body felt cold. I slammed my foot on the gas and drove out of the parking lot without looking back. I told myself not to look in the mirrors. Don't check, just drive. But of course, I looked, and I almost screamed. She was running behind the truck, bare feet slapping against the pavement, her dress dragging, her hair swinging. But she wasn't running like a normal person. Her body twisted, her head tilted to the side like it was broken, and she was fast. Too fast. I pushed the pedal down harder. My truck shook, engine roaring. Finally, after what felt like forever, she disappeared from the headlights behind me. I didn't stop driving. Not until I reached the next big town, Las Cruces. Lights. People. Normal life. I parked at a 24-hour Walmart. I just sat there for a long time, breathing hard. When I finally felt calm, I got out to walk around the store, just to be somewhere safe. But as I stepped out of the truck, I heard it. Water. Dripping. At first I thought it was from someone watering plants, but then I saw it. A trail of wet footprints, small, bare, leading across the parking lot, straight to the back of my truck. My legs turned weak. I walked around slowly, praying I wouldn't see anything. At the back door of my truck, right on the glass, there was a wet handprint. Small, slim, a woman's hand. fresh, like she had been touching the window, watching me. I wiped it off fast, got back into the truck, and locked the doors again. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. I tried to tell myself it was stress or exhaustion, but it was so real, and I felt it. The next day, when I finally made it home in Tucson, I convinced myself it was all a nightmare. I still drive at night sometimes. It's my job. I can't stop. But every time I walk into a gas station restroom to pee or wash my hands, I still remember that night. And every time, I ask myself, who was she really? Why was she after me? Well, your guess is as good as mine, and I guess we'll never find out.